make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something. Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. Welcome to the show. The ceiling is often referred to as the fifth wall. Until recently, those ceilings were treated, well, rather plainly, usually with a coat of white paint. Lately, though, ceilings are becoming a real focal point in room design. Today, we're going to install a wood-look plank ceiling using an innovative rail and clip system that makes it an honest-to-goodness DIY project. Then we're going to replace a double hug window. Is it a do-it-yourself job? Well, take a look and see what you think. This craftsman-style house, built in 1917, sits on the Connecticut coast a stone's throw from the Long Island Sound, and is home to Karen Zanella, her husband, and 3 boys. So you just finished remodeling this kitchen, right?
I did. We refinished the whole house a couple months ago.
But the budget didn't allow for the wood-look plank ceiling in her kitchen that Karen had always wanted. What is it that you like about the planks?
It just gives it more of that beachy look, and I think is really going to finish the kitchen how we want it. Informal, casual, beachy was the look we're going for.
Okay, yeah. Great. The ceiling we're going to put up is from Armstrong Ceiling's Woodhaven collection. It's actually a floating system with metal mounting tracks that attach to ceiling joists and planks that are held in place with specially designed clips. The first step is to cut the caulking on the edges and joints of the existing crown molding so that it can be removed. The molding will be reinstalled later. With the molding off, we use a stud sensor to find the ceiling joists and strike chalk lines to mark their location. Next, we strike lines perpendicular to the joists at 18-inch intervals to indicate where the tracks will be located. Also, we remove the trim rings on the recessed lights and take down any hanging fixtures. Well, we've finished preparing the room. We've taken down the crown molding, marked the location of the ceiling joists, and removed the light fixtures. So now we can begin installing the new ceiling system. We'll begin by mounting the track. The first track is positioned 2 inches from the starting wall, with the end of the track against the perpendicular wall. The track is attached to each ceiling joist with screws. Now I found it faster and easier to overlap the sections of track rather than measure and cut them. An 1/8-inch gap should be left between the overlap tracks to provide space for the mounting clips. If it is necessary or preferable to cut the track, it can be done easily with a hacksaw or a jigsaw fitted with a metal cutting blade. The 2 sections are butted together with both ends being screwed into a joist. Track installation goes quite quickly, with the last track being positioned 2 inches from the finishing wall. Now it's important that the track system be flat. A 4-foot level is used to locate spots where the track is bowing upward toward the ceiling. In those spots, the mounting screw is loosened and the track pulled downward. Shims are inserted in the space between the track and the ceiling, and the screws retightened. Finally, the tracks are checked again for flatness. When we're finished, the entire ceiling is ready to receive the planks. The planks are interlocking, with the tongue of one fitting into the groove of the next. Be sure to open the plank cartons 2 or 3 days prior to installation to allow the material to adjust to the relative humidity in the room where it will be installed. Determine the width of the border planks. Now you can find formulas for doing this on Armstrong Ceiling's Woodhaven webpage. Cut the starter plank to width by removing the tongue side using a table saw or a circular saw. Place the cut side of the starter plank toward the wall, leaving a 1/2 inch gap for expansion. Leave 3/4 of an inch gap between the end of the plank and the perpendicular wall. The starter plank is held in place by drilling a small hole near the edge at the point where the plank crosses a track. Then a screw is driven through both the plank and the track and into the joist. This will be covered when the crown molding is reinstalled. These clips are designed to hold the groove side of each plank to the track. They snap on and are then slid along the track until the tab slips into the plank groove. Now, I found it easier to snap on several clips beforehand, set the plank in position, then simply slide the clips along the track until they engage the plank. The ends of each plank also have an interlocking tongue and groove design. The last plank in each row will need to be cut to length. This can be done using a power miter saw, circular saw, or even a hand saw. Remember to leave a 3/4 inch expansion gap between the end of the plank and the wall. I was pleasantly surprised at how the tongue and groove design, along with the mounting clips, allowed the installation to progress at an impressive pace. This room had several recessed lights. To locate the cutouts for these, we measured from the edge of the nearest plank to the center of the fixture, then transferred those measurements to the planks to be cut. We then used a compass to draw a circle of the correct size. Another option would be to use the recessed light trim plate as a template. The light fixture holes can be cut using a jigsaw or a large hole saw. The last plank at the finishing wall must be ripped to fit the space remaining. Like the first plank, this one is also held in place with a screw. Make sure there is a 1/2 inch gap remaining between the border plank and the finishing wall. With the ceiling planks up, we replace the light fixtures and reinstall the crown molding. So Karen, what do you think?
I love it.
You do?
I absolutely love it. It's exactly what I wanted.
Has it changed the feel? I mean, obviously it's changed the look of the room, but has it anyway changed the feel of the room for you?
It does. I haven't quite pinpointed what it is yet, but it definitely is a big difference.
Yeah.
Just like I said earlier, gave me that look I wanted of kind of beachy, casual, and really differentiates this room from the dining room now.
That's true. It
Yeah.
does break this up from
Exactly.
the adjoining room. I have no scientific basis for this,
Okay.
but I honestly feel, as I stand here in this room now, it feels a little warmer to me in some way.
Yep, absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Warmer, just like I said, it just really gives this space a unique look and feel.
Well, winter's on the wane and spring is almost sprung. Among other things, that means it's time for the national pastime to reemerge and ballparks everywhere to echo with those immortal words, play ball.
Here you go.
And here at our place, it's never too early to start spring training.
Where's your ball? Okay, here we go. Watch Daddy. See, watch Daddy. See, he's going to throw the ball up in the air, right? Like this. He's going to throw it up in the air. And uh-oh.
Don't tell Mommy.
Ron, what happened? Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry, hon. I'm sorry.
actually, I was giving Danielle some batting lessons and had a foul ball down the first baseline, and, that's the result.
What are we gonna do?
Well, normally I just take out the pane of glass and replace it, but you've been unhappy with this window for a long time. So maybe we just replace the whole thing, give you something that's a little more energy efficient, cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter.
Your foul ball, I get a new window?
My foul, your home run.
Good.
Well, the new window's arrived, and not a bit too soon, I might add. Lynn hasn't been real happy staring at that piece of cardboard while she does the dishes. So I head out to my van and grab my tool bag, because the first thing I need to do is remove the window casings on the inside. A wide putty knife gets things started. Then I bring out my arsenal of pry bars to nudge the casing free. Next, I move outside to dispense with that casing. I use a magnet to locate nails that are buried below countless coats of paint. Then I extract them using a nail puller designed to dig deeply and grip like a bulldog on a T-bone steak. With most of the larger nails gone, I can pry off the trim with very little hassle.
Well, the window's finally free, and I'm working alone today, so as an added precaution, I put a couple of handles on here so I can keep a good grip on this. So I think it's time to see if we can actually get this out of here.
Well, now I have a gaping hole in my kitchen wall, but hopefully not for long. Before I can put in the new window, though, I need to prepare the opening. That means cutting away the shingles around the edges. The key here is to set the depth of cut on the circular saw just deeply enough to slice through the shingles without cutting into the framing underneath. The opening is just a bit too large for the new window, so I add strips of 3/8" plywood and secure them in place with galvanized nails. Now, watertight integrity is crucial when installing a replacement window. To make sure this one won't leak, I'm slipping aluminum tape underneath the shingles along the top of the window opening. I'm also applying adhesive-backed metal tape to the bottom. To make a good seal at the corners, I snip the tape and fold it over onto the face of the framing. One final strip along the back edge, and I pronounce this opening properly prepared. Well, our rough opening is the correct size and sealed against moisture. Now, what I have to make sure is that this bottom sill down here is perfectly flat and level. Level up here. Okay, so what I've got is a little bit of a low spot here and one over here, which means there's a small crown in the center. So I'm going to put some shims on to level this up and make it perfectly flat. I'm making the shims out of pieces of plywood and sheet metal. Once they're in position, I tack them in place. This time I lay the level on top of the shims and make a final check. Well, here's my new window. It's one of Pella's Architect series. It looks a lot like the window that we took out, and that's exactly what I wanted. Something that had a real classic look to it, but is completely up to date when it comes to energy efficiency. Now, this window is going to just sit in that opening that we've created right there, and it'll be held in place with this nailing flange, which I have to bend out to 90 degrees. That is perpendicular to the top, sides, and bottom. Now, putting in a window like this is definitely a two-person job. So I've called my friend Rick over to lend me a hand. With the window resting on the shims I've just installed, I drive in 2 nails through the flange. Then go inside to check for plumb and level. To keep everything from shifting, I slip shims between the window frame and the inside of the opening. Then it's back outside to drive in the rest of the nails, holding the flange to the framing. Next, I apply more of the adhesive-backed metal tape on top of the nailing flanges, covering the nail heads. In order to match the rest of my window exteriors, I've made my own sill by cutting it out on the table saw. Notice the top edge has a slope to carry water away from the window. A simple piece of wood trim with a drip cap attached sits in the space between the top of the window and the edge of the shingles I've cut back. I also install wood trim over the foil tape along the sides of the window. Caulking is the final step out here. Okay, well, except for a little paint, that finishes up things here on the outside. Now I'm going to move indoors and start the trim. The first thing I do inside is pack the space around the edge of the window frame with fiberglass insulation. I've also made up the interior sill myself from a piece of clear pine. A little glue on the edge, a few shots from the nail gun, and it looks like it's forever been part of the window. Next, I head out to the truck to grab the pre-primed window casing. To put it up, all I need do is cut miters on the ends and nail it in place. First the top, then the sides. Installing the hardware is the final step.
Okay, honey, I'm finished.
I don't think so. Why is the cardboard still there?
Well, you got so used to looking at that, I thought maybe you'd miss it if I took it away, huh?
No, I don't think so, honey.
This is my idea of humor. Find it funny?
Oh, yes. That's funny.
You know, this window hasn't changed in its appearance a whole lot, which is good for me because I like the way it looked,
Right.
but it's a much, much better window. Metal clad on the outside, going to keep the maintenance down low. I like that. Dual pane glass, cool in the summer, warm in the winter.
Great.
Got a low E coating on the glass to reduce fading. And this is a feature I just love. You know, we like to open these windows and we can pull the screens right down. They're built into the window.
Wow.
And then when
That's
you
great.
don't want them,
That's great.
they just go up out of sight. They're right there.
That's really
So you
great.
got everything you need, right?
Yep.
Right.
Great new
All
windows.
right, so
Good work. Good work.
You're ready. Speaking of work, you're all set, aren't you? That's all you're going to need. I, on the other hand, got a little more spring training to do with Danielle.
I don't think so, Ron.
To view today's projects again, visit ronhazelton.com. Step-by-step home improvement tips when you need them.